second verse, it tells you how Esau is the end of the world. And the information that we bringing forth right here gives more credence to that idea. See? Now it goes on to say, see notably Isaiah 34 and 5, which when you read that precept, the scriptures refer to the so-called white man as Idumea, which that's a Greek word for Edom. See? And obviously the book of Isaiah, the 63rd chapter, in the first verse, where it tells you how our Lord Yahushua would visit Basra. Now when you go into the history, Basra, as well as Petra, was the capital cities of Edom. See that? So the overtone of this book, the very essence of this book, and certainly the doctrine of our Lord Yahushua, centers around prophecy, which is obviously concerning the things written and foretold to come to pass here in the latter days, which actually details a certain system, and in particular this current beast system, which will be governed over by none other than the so-called white man himself, the nation of Edom. And the mere fact that here in the last days you will occupy a certain lot, which is the seat of power, testifies against you, and if nothing else, places you at the scene of the crime. See that? Which brings me right here to the book of 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, and starting at the 24th verse, it says, then cometh the end. See? Then cometh the end. So you can see what prophecy, which again is at the forefront of this ministry, is a build up to the end. Remember, we read in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, and the 9th verse, Esau is the end of the world. So the end is pretty much synonymous with the so-called white man. All right, this man would be in power, and under his dominion, his influence would reach throughout the planet Earth. And that's pursuant to the book of Job, the 9th chapter, and the 24th verse. See, again, then cometh the end. See that? When he shall have delivered up the kingdom to the Most High, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. Yeah, so in order for the kingdom of our Lord Yahushua to be ushered in, all other forms of authority and power and rule shall be put down. All right? You know, you have this current beast system where the scriptures tell you how the nations rule with the beast 1 hour. That's not going to apply in the world to come. It's not going to be a coexisting power, all right, in the kingdom of heaven. Again, in order for the kingdom of heaven to be ushered in, all forms of power and rule and authority will be laid down. See that? Verse 25, for he must reign, concerning our Lord Yahushua, till he have put all enemies under his feet. For an example, when you read in the book of Daniel concerning the statue that spotlights the rise and fall of different kingdoms and empires and regimes, well, it's in relation to these different nations, you know, who at one point in time or another had a time to rule at whatever respective time given, right? But the scriptures say, for he must reign, see, till he have put all enemies under his feet. See, verse 26, the last enemy, see, the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. And this death right here is concerning the so-called white man. All right, matter of fact, let's prove that real quick before we continue. This is the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter and the 5th verse. It says, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Yeah, and this is obviously concerning the so-called white man. All right, that word proud is pretty much interchangeable with this devil. See, it says, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. See, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death. See that? And is as death. See? And cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And this is why America is known as that great melting pot. See? But again, the point is, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death. See that? And is as death. So you can see where the scriptures refer to the so-called white man as death. See that? So that's why when you go back here again to 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, and again, the 26th verse, it says the last enemy, see, the last enemy that shall be destroyed is death, all right, which translates to the so-called white man. See that? Now, real quick, let's look up this word last.
Strong's G 2078, eschatos. Eschatos.
Yeah, and that's where you get the word eschatology, which translates to the study of end times. Alright, so it says extreme, last in time or in place. See, last in time or in place. It says last in a series of places. Yeah, you know, when you look back in retrospect at the different kingdoms, empires, and regimes that rose to power and eventually fell out of power, well, the so-called white man would be the last in a series of those rulerships. See that? It says last in a temporal succession, the last referring to time, of space, the uttermost part, the end of the earth. Yeah, and there's no coincidence that the so-called white man has established his rulership over here in the West. All right? The West would be the uttermost part of the earth, the end of the earth. The beginning of the earth being the Fertile Crescent, you know, the Middle East. But the end of the earth, the uttermost part of the earth, would be over here in the Western Hemisphere. See, again, of space, the uttermost part, the end of the earth. See that? Of rank. See? Of rank. Grade of worth, last, i.e., lowest. Yeah, meaning the so-called white man in his very being, his very existence in relation to rulership would be the worst case scenario. See, again, it says of rank, grade of worth, last, lowest. See, that's why the scriptures refer to the so-called white man as the hindermost part of the nations. See that? So all roads point to the so-called white man being in power here in the latter days. You got to remember, when our Lord Yahweh shall return, he's not returning to make a pact or a covenant with the nations, man. Our Lord is coming to stake his rightful ownership of the planet Earth and in the process deliver his elect by overthrowing his arch enemy and nemesis, which would be none other than the so-called white man. See that? So Esau figures prominent in future judgment as the scene of future great judgment. See? And this man in his very being, you know, the very lot that he occupied, which is the seat of power, testifies against him. See? And pretty much place you at the scene of the crime. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. Lord willing, it was edifying. Till the next time I say shalom.